Alright, welcome to Dagon. We're continuing our horror spree. Kind of just felt like it. We'll see how this all goes. I wasn't really planning on doing more horror games, but this game, I saw Vinny, aka Vinesauce, play it, and just kind of like skim through a little bit, and it seemed like a very interesting horror thing. Basically, we've been playing so many Lovecraftian games, Lovecraftian horror all over the place. Well, this is just straight up Lovecraft. It is Dagon, the story by Lovecraft, except it's like visualized. It's like a visual novel, but not a visual novel. It's a visualized adaptation where it is just the story, and it's narrated, and it's just like different scenes you look around in. Not even really a walking sim, but just kind of different visual spots you look at and stuff. Seems kind of cool. Let's here go. Did you also buy the DLC? I did not. This is the free version. I don't know anything. Like, the DLC is just a tiny thing, I'm pretty sure. Like, a bonus thing that takes 10 minutes. So I don't think it's, like, part of the actual game. But we'll see. I just want to mention, this is kind of fun, because I've done some reading in Lovecraft. I've read, like, half of the Necronomicon and stuff. And when I did that, I actually wrote down some, like, impressions and mini reviews and stuff for each story, because Lovecraft is extremely hit or miss. Some things are just like, okay, what the hell was the point? And other things are like twists you see a mile away, and other things are really good and really like building atmosphere and stuff like that. And I just want to read what I wrote for Dagon years ago when I first read it. It was like the first story in Necronomicon, and I read good. I wrote good and worth reading, but probably not as a first story. The language is too complicated, and it's hard to visualize until you're done reading it and you understand how it all came together. Well, what helps with visualization? A game. What helps with difficult language? Voice acting. So, like, both of my main complaints about this short story might be answered here. I don't know. This seems very promising. I'm kind of excited, so let's just jump in and let's see what this is all about. And yes, I just did some testing here. Dagon is a faithful, interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work, focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with a plot.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
During the game, you will encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey, others reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and the author. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find these secrets, focus your eyes and look for the Elder sign. So this is the Elder sign. You can focus with right-click. This is to progress, and these are like extra things you can click on. You can also access all the facts found later. They will be available in the main menu. So, here is to go on, and we don't really have anything else. I guess one thing to mention is there is an options menu, but there's not too much to change, really. I changed up some stuff with the audio levels and stuff, but in terms of visual fidelity, you can only, like, turn on and off motion blur and anti-aliasing, that's it, and change resolution. Would be kind of nice to have some other stuff, but I guess it's more of an art piece than, like, a game in that sense. So yeah, like, there's nothing here. I guess we only have one thing to do.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below. Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to, like, comment too much. Let's just try and, like, immerse ourselves a little bit. So here we have a little extra thing, and there's to advance. So, morphine. Achievements! Sweet. The Seeker. Find the first piece of trivia. Morphine entered into use in the 19th century and was routinely administered to treat severe pain during the American Civil War, 1861 to 1865, and World War I. I don't need to read out the years. It was also sold without restriction until 1914. Morphine became more popular after the invention of the hypodermic syringe around 1854. Friedrich something? Serturner? I don't know. German names. Who first isolated the substance, originally named it morphium, after Morpheus, the Greek god associated with dreams. At the time when Dagon was published, morphine abuse, known as soldier's disease, already posed a big problem in the United States. That is a cool trivia, I didn't know that.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Supercargo? I don't even know what that means. Right? Doesn't seem like there's anything else to do other than continue.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation. So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Aha, there we go. We get another history lesson, I suppose. The Huns. The Huns were Central Asian nomads who established a dominion in Europe and invaded the Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. They were known as brutal, deadly warriors and masters of quick raids who also developed powerful composite bows, lassos, and early siege weapons. During World War I, the British used the word Hun as a synonym for Germans in order to emphasize their brutality. However, the term originated when the German Emperor Wilhelm II gave a speech to his troops on the 27th of July 1900 before they embarked to China. Should you encounter the enemy, he will be defeated. No quarter will be given. Prisoners will not be taken. Whoever falls into your hands is forfeited. Just as 1,000 years ago, the Huns under their king Attila made a name for themselves, one that even today makes them seem mighty in history and legend. May the name German be affirmed by you in such a way in China that no Chinese will ever again dare to look cross-eyed at a German. What? Okay. The refusal to take prisoners was a clear breach of the laws and customs of war adopted during the first Hague Convention of 1899. Can't move. No, you can't move at all. At least not yet. I guess I should try in like every scene just to see if I can move around, but most of them you are just locked in place and looking around. So yeah. What is this? An escape boat? Rowboat?
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
So wait, what did they mean? Like, he was captured by Huns in the sense of Germans then, not actually Huns? Because yeah, I remember when I read this the first time, I was confused by that and thought it was like actual Huns in that sense. Guess let's try and move. Nope, can't move. Alright, just one thing to do.
When
Achievement!
I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
I clicked on like 4 things. Amazing. Solitude and unbroken blue. Escape the captors.
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
We're looking at the moon. And that's all we can look at.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
There's kind of no point even looking around until the dialogue is done, because things don't pop up as like what you can click on. Water skin. Oh, Jesus, that was weird. I don't know why I like flipped around. Oh, the Steam overlay isn't appearing on the stream. Yeah, okay. I forgot to turn that on in the capture source, but I guess it doesn't matter, really. I'll just read out the achievements. It's just, like, 6 achievements. Yeah, and we have 2 out of them already, so you don't really need to see that.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
Oh, I should have looked around, I guess.
The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know, for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Well, that was sudden. Squids! Can we get some fun facts about squids? No?
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished. For there was in the air, and in the rotting soil, a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish, and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain.
Anemones and things. Because those are spooky.
Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
I was about to say, like, there's no sun, but no, there actually is a sun. Yeah, I mean, so far it's not really, like, scary, but it is, like, well crafted in that sense. Visualized. Can't look at the squids. Alright. Oh, squishy.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position. Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
They don't look dead to me! Well, I guess this fish is pretty dead. Nothing else to look at. And once again, we can't move. Am I gonna eat that?
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
Those poor tentacles just flailing around out of water. So right there, nothing else. And I guess those secrets might be very well hidden, or very, like, sparse.
I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Still nothing else? Onward. Oh god, no, don't step on the squid!
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation.
I wish you could
on the
zoom in
rolling
even
desert.
more, honestly. Sorry, I shouldn't talk over the dialogue. But yeah, like, this zoom is pretty weak. Would be nice if you could get some, like, closer looks at things. Oh boy. Rip. What is this, like a weird crab leg? I guess I should always look up as well. Maybe there's like a secret in the sun at some point.
That night, I encamped,
Worms!
and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Suddenly we're in Dune. Yeah, yet again, nothing. And yeah, in case you didn't realize, you can't turn around 360 degrees in most of them. No?
By the fourth evening,
I missed a question mark?
Really?
Really? Ah. Well, I guess I can't really do much about that now. Where was the question mark?
Which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance. An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface.
I don't know if I should redo it then and get back to that point. Oh, that's a weird, like, reflection going on. Up in the top left. The bottom of the screen? Damn. I mean, I guess we can... Hold on. If I just load, where will I be? Probably on this screen, I would imagine. Because otherwise, I guess it is pretty quick to, like, spam through. Yeah, I'm just here. Alright, let's do that. Immersion broken for a second. Yeah, I might miss some again. So yeah, we have to do a new game again.
This under
Pen. I don't know if I need to, like, collect the ones I already collected again, but maybe, just in case, I will.
The Great.
Man, imagine speedruns of this. So exciting. Right, and I didn't miss anything here, did I? Don't think so. I guess we can try and look around during that one.
The weather kept fair.
One point.
For uncounted days, I drifted
It was like after this one.
But
yeah, right here.
Ship, nor land
okay,
appeared,
it's just a sky.
I began to despair. When the region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less... There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach.
Love that squish sound. I don't think I missed any other ones until this point, but it was like after we set out. Was the second screen with the crab legs or the whale?
Morning, I found the...
Because yeah, it's not here. Here, maybe?
All day.
No? Is it one more screen, I guess? Wait. Where's this question mark? Are you sure I missed one? Oh, worm screen. I see. Okay, one more.
That night.
This probably. Yeah, alright. Thank you. I'll try and not miss any more, because yeah, that does kind of break the immersion a lot. The Horrors of the Ocean. The creator of the Cthulhu mythos and the fictional underwater city of... however you pronounce this, I never knew. Rillier something? Was convinced that life could not exist at the bottom of the ocean because the water pressure would make it uninhabitable. Today we know that the darkest depths of the ocean are home to many peculiar organisms. The deepest dwelling fish we have discovered so far, the Mariana snailfish, can live about 8,000 meters. Some Imperial there for all of you Imperials. Below the ocean's surface, in never-ending darkness and at hellishly crushing pressures, hundreds of times stronger than those found at sea level. Upon glancing at the modern photos of deep-sea creatures, such as the anglerfish, the fangtooth, or the viperfish, and their truly Lovecraftian characteristics, it's hard not to find some irony in this. Great. Alright. Bye, worms.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance. An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
Oh, should have looked around more. Guess I should look around while he's talking.
But ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again, and in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy. Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset.
Nice looking night sky.
Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
Picking up the pack. I can't look at the crest or anything, no. Alright.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost, and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
And down we go.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Look at the weird, darkness in the background. It's based on where you look. That's strange. Okay. Secret. No secret.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath.
Suddenly we're nearing the monolith from 2001.
Gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
Alright, nothing else by the looks of it.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. but I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Still nothing. Just don't want to miss any more.
For despite its enormous magnitude, and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith.
I guess 2001: A Space Odyssey is, like, the one that ripped off this, not the other way around.
Whose massive bulk had known the workmanship, and perhaps the worship, of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Surely that means there's a secret. No? Examine your surroundings closely? Maybe on the next screen?
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Yep. So we're going there. Anything else? Nothing else. We're just gonna, like, walk straight across the lake.
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books, consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Ah, here we go. Storytelling methods. Dagon contains many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling the story through carvings at the Mountains of Madness, the Nameless City. Speaking of, the Nameless City is probably my favorite Lovecraft story that I've read so far. I've not actually read At the Mountains of Madness, so I'm looking forward to that. Journals and characters' notes. The Shadow Out of Time, The Haunter of the Dark. I think I thought both of those were, like, fine, but not anything amazing. Islands Emerging from the Ocean, The Call of Cthulhu, yep. Or fictional beings and deities based on real events and mythologies. Migo in The Whisper in Darkness. I don't remember that. I've read this one. It's also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu mythos. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, in Call of Cthulhu, Cthulhu wasn't really that... Like, there wasn't much surrounding Cthulhu. It was just a couple of, like, explorers that found this, like, newly risen island with a weird, like, stone chamber or, like, city. And then they open a door and giant Cthulhu comes, like, waltzing out and starts, like, swiping people left and right, and they just run away. And then Cthulhu comes and chases them in the boat, and then the boat, just some, like, buff Norwegian dude who's so manly, just, like, drives into Cthulhu with a boat, and it takes him, like, time to rematerialize, and they peace out. And it's like, that's Cthulhu, and we've made so much more out of the mythos than what Lovecraft really ever did. But I don't know, again, I haven't read everything, so maybe there's more to it than that, but it's just kind of, like, funny how much it's become from so little, really. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also conclude in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's skip the details in order not to spoil the ending. Yeah. I mean, one of the main things that I think Lovecraft does kind of, like, poorly is just random ass pull twist endings where it's just like some reveal, and it's like either a reveal that makes no sense or a reveal that you saw coming from like the first sentence, and it's just like, okay, I guess so. But again, there are some really good ones. Nameless City is incredible in my opinion, and some of the other ones like Rats in the Walls I remember liking, and oh boy, I can't remember. The Color Out of Space was good, though maybe a little, it dragged on a little. Oh yeah, just some recommendations.
Plainly visible across the intervening water, on account of their enormous size, were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men, though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes.
I like how the
some marine grotto.
The like dialogue pop-up blocked their lower half, so it's like it's depicting men, hands down, but they're fishmen. That was kind of well done.
Or paying homage at some monolithic shrine, which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
Yeah, this is like one of the main things also that doesn't quite work when making like games and stuff for Lovecraft stuff, when he's describing like, I can't even retell this how they looked because, oh, it's so horrifying, and then it's like in the game, you know, we're just seeing it and it's not really that horrifying, but obviously it doesn't really like, it's impossible to do it justice in that sense. Grotesque beyond the imagination. Oh, right, he's talking. I'm just in reading mode.
In general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself. I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size.
Yeah, I do like how it's like showing further things on the monolith in time with the dialogue. That's really, really nicely done.
Decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
Alright, only one thing to click on.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
Did I? Oh, that? Yeah, I'm seeing it.
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Oh, Jesus. Slid into view.
It darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds. I think I went mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
I think it might have worked better if they, like, kind of jostled the camera a bit and, like, had the perspective fall down so you didn't really get a good look at it. Maybe then it would, like, emphasize that a bit better. Yeah, he's just casually walking up.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing. I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I peals of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods. When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital. Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in
We got another
mid-ocean.
achievement. Hold on. Delirious but free. Escape the horror.
In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Ah, yeah, I was gonna say, surely there must be something to inspect here. The journalist. Lovecraft was a prominent figure in the world of amateur journalism. In 1915, he started publishing his own journal called The Conservative, which included political and social commentary, poetry, short stories, and literary criticism, goddammit, written by him and other authors. Howard was a skilled wordsmith, but he also took criticism to heart, which resulted in his decision to step away from writing poetry and concentrate on weird fiction again, for the first time since his teenage years. Dagon, published in 1917, is one of the short stories written during that period. In this excerpt from The Conservative, the master of horror fiction explains his attitude towards warfare and the idea of world peace. Why any sane human being can believe in the possibility of universal peace is more than the Conservative can fathom. Should the entire civilized world agree simultaneously to disarm, one or more nations would undoubtedly retain secret armaments and at the proper time take advantage of their more altruistic and less astute contemporaries in a wild career of conquest against unarmed victims. No country is, or ever can be, above warfare, until the basic impulses of the human animal shall have miraculously changed. Yeah, I mean, that's true. That is true enough.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
There we go, more. Most of these secrets are like here at the end, it seems. Dagon. Dagon was the main deity of the Philistines, worshipped throughout the Middle East as the ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagon, or Dagon, I don't know, was a common noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, Mesopotamia, chose him as the patron saint of their war conquests. He also appeared as the judge, sounds like a nice guy, judge of the dead in an Assyrian poem, and an underworld prison warden in one of the Babylonian texts. He is often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in Hebrew the word dag means fish. Interesting, I see. In H.P. Lovecraft's works, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that resides in the oceans. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. That's kind of interesting, so like, the basis of it is completely different, but, you know, it's fiction. I guess that's... maybe he even knew that and just went with it anyway. And can we actually, like, read anything, Dagon? Don't think we can actually read any words here.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
What the hell? Okay, that's kind of weird. I can't turn to the right here at all, but if I turn to the left, it just like snaps around. No? Not now. Oh, there it goes. I don't know. This is a little weird. Another one? And where are we actually looking? Over here. Oh, Jesus. August Derleth and the Cthulhu Mythos. August Derleth was an American writer and an anthologist. He also befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works through his company, Arkham House. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of the author's works after his death, he is surrounded by numerous controversies. One of his most questionable decisions involved introducing the good versus evil doctrine. Derleth was a devout Catholic to the Cthulhu mythos, which contrasted with Lovecraft's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's works are often misunderstood and misrepresented in today's culture. It is also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the mortal plane. Interesting. I didn't know that. But, I mean, it makes sense. Like, if you read the stories, it doesn't really feel like it's like evil things. It's just kind of incomprehensible stuff. And I mean, so far this isn't really like horror in that sense. Like, it's not scary, it's kind of fascinating, more so than anything. Hello. Nothing? You don't want to talk? We just leave again? Or can I read something else? Yeah, it doesn't look like we can check anything out. Oh, what? Oh, wow, that was a thing. Holy crap. I just clicked it randomly. I didn't even see a marker. The scientist. I'm sure that's like the most missed one. These days, the word scientist is a widely accepted term, but at the time Dagon was published, it was subject to a wide debate. After the author used it in the story, critics pointed out that man of science was a more appropriate term to employ. He admitted in defense of Dagon that if Dagon were to be reprinted, he would indeed use the phrase they suggested. Scientist was coined as an analog to artist, to be used when referring to those studying different branches of science. Yet in the 19th and early 20th century, scientific researchers in Great Britain and the United States were of the opinion that man of science, resembling the term man of letters, was the only proper choice. Among other things, it was gender-specific, indicating that science was an endeavor to be pursued by only one sex. The term scientist became more accepted only after World War II, and man of science started fading into obscurity as an old-fashioned synonym. You didn't see the marker either? Yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe it was like a glint of light? Maybe that's why it was hard to see? I would have to, like, look again. I'm not sure how many markers there are, or like bonus things.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing.
He does love the word gibbous.
I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease, and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Lovecraft on tobacco and alcohol. Lovecraft hated tobacco, even though he used to smoke when he was 12, oh Jesus, in order to look and feel like an adult. In his correspondence with friend Reinhard Kleiner, he claims that he quit as soon as he started wearing long pants. He also had a very strong opinion about alcohol, as evidenced by his letter to Zelia Brown, dated 13th February 1928. As for the matter of drinking, I have never tasted intoxicating liquor and never intend to, having a strong aesthetic disgust at anything which blunts or coarsens the delicate natural equipoise, I have no idea, of the evolved human intellect and imagination. Drinking excited my personal repugnance, hence I don't drink. Let the herd do what they will. I am rather in favor of prohibition, the prohibition of any one antisocial force as well as any other. Source of Spirit of Revision. Yeah, we don't really need to read out the sources, I guess. Okay. Drugs bad. Alcohol and drugs bad. Well, alcohol is a drug.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm. A mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war. This I
Oh, it does mention German.
But ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
No last little extra thing. I'm checking all the glinting stuff just in case.
The end is near.
Oh?
I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Nothing else? I don't see anything. It doesn't seem like there's a bonus thing here.
It shall not find me.
I like it just opens the door.
God, that hand! The window! The window!
What happens if I don't? Well, I guess you're not timed. And there you go. Thank you for playing. We hope you enjoyed immersing yourself in our little pool of cosmic horror. We would appreciate it if you took a moment to rate Dagon and check out the other games and DLCs. Yeah, I don't know if I'll do that, really. But we did get another achievement, From Madness to Oblivion. But there's still 2 more. Did I miss some more things? What? Wait, find half of the trivia pieces hidden in the game. I haven't even found half? Maybe there's some hidden in the DLC, and that's why. Find half the trivia pieces, find all the trivia pieces. Oh. Okay, I thought it was gonna, like, quit the entire game. Well, I mean, yeah, that was well done, like, interesting, good visuals and good narration and stuff, but again, it's not really, like, scary, but I guess early Lovecraft kind of wasn't, or I mean, by today's standard, it kind of isn't, but I guess back then it was frightening in a way. But I guess let's check the trivia. Yeah, there's like so much we haven't gotten. How is that possible? I guess I'll just look this up. Let's see. Trivia? Yeah, all trivias. Yeah, I think... Oh, yeah, I guess I have missed some stuff. Maybe you have to, like, specifically zoom in to get them? Alright, well, guess we're going back in. I'm just gonna look at this list so we don't have to do it again. Like, here? No? Oh, there. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, okay, so there's some stuff like that. Oh, that's a little annoying, honestly. Like, you have to zoom in order to see them sometimes, so you have to be really observant. Oh, there's the half achievement. Alright. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna just look at the guide for this so we don't miss it even more. Cosmic Horror Scholar. Find half of the trivia pieces hidden in the game. Lovecraft's letters. As to letters, my case is peculiar. I write such things exactly as easily and as rapidly as I would utter the same topics in conversation. Indeed, epistolary, I have no idea, expression is with me largely replacing conversation, as my condition of nervous prostration becomes more and more acute. I cannot bear to talk much now, and am becoming as silent as the spectator himself. My loquacy, no idea, extends itself on paper. Yep, there's a lot of words that Lovecraft uses that I have no idea about, and reading them to myself, it's like, fine, it's a word, I can generally understand the meaning, but reading them out loud, I have no idea how to pronounce them. The clock may have been one of the hidden ones then? Yeah, that could be it. That would make sense. Like, it wasn't even showing up, I just clicked it, because maybe you can click them even if you can't see them. Throughout his life, Lovecraft penned around 100,000 letters to his friends and fans, out of which about 10% survive to this day. But that's still a lot. Still a very large amount, 10,000 letters. But his tendency to endlessly correspondence was a relatively late growth. Tendency to endless correspondence. In youth, I scarcely did any letter writing, thinking anybody for a present was so much of an ordeal that I would rather have written a 250-line pastoral or a 20-page treatise on the rings of Saturn. Lovecraft would often skip meals to afford postage. Collections of his correspondence have been published in various books, and selected letters can be found online. Some readers consider them his most important legacy. Yeah, that's very interesting. Alright, so that's that. And then in scene 2 we had this thing, which we checked. Oh, so there's... wait. Okay, it's not in every single one, but I guess I can just look at the list here. So, like, there's one in scene 3, scene 4, and then it skips to 7. So we know in the next one there's gonna be one, and I can just, like, hunt that down. I mean, I saw it. It was, like, right here. So let's try just clicking on it. No, I can't click it, but then if we zoom in, then it appears. Man. I guess at least they're pretty lenient, so you just have to zoom in on every scene. I didn't really understand that from the tutorial, just like, oh, you can zoom in if you want to, but not that you had to see them. Lovecraft and the Great War. Dagon was written around a month after the United States entered World War I. Lovecraft was actively interested in his course. He composed many poems in which he gave encouragement to soldiers and commented on the events unfolding in Europe. He tried to enlist in the army, which he mentions in one of the letters to Reinhard Kleiner. Some time ago, impressed by my entire uselessness in the world, I resolved to attempt enlistment despite my almost invalid condition. I argued that if I chose a regiment soon to depart for France, my sheer nervous force, which is not considerable, might sustain me till a bullet or piece of shrapnel could more conclusively and effectively dispose of me. But even though he passed the physical exam, his mother prevented him from going to the war. She has threatened to go to any lengths, legal or otherwise, if I do not reveal all the ills which unfit me from the army. I am Providence, the life and times of H.P. Lovecraft. So yeah, there was another one here, but we know that. We've already seen that. Yeah, the Huns, and then scene 7. So, this is 4. Now we're going to 5.
So.
And then 6, and one more.
When I find.
So right here, there should be something.
The weather kept.
Ah, yeah, right there. Man, yeah, those are sneaky. The return to short stories. Dagon was written in July 1917 and first published in 1919 in The Vagrant, an amateur magazine focused on the supernatural. The story is the first of his stories that introduced an element from the Cthulhu mythos, Dagon itself. A pagan cult worshipping Dagon later appears in The Shadow over Innsmouth. I have not read that one yet. It's kind of in the later parts of the Necronomicon. One of Lovecraft's most popular works. Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I should start reading it again. 1917 is also the year when he wrote The Tomb, a story about Jervis Dudley, a daydreamer who discovers a mysterious mausoleum in the woods by his house and becomes obsessed with it. These two works marked Lovecraft's return to short story writing after he burned most of his attempts at the genre 9 years prior and decided to concentrate on poetry. Lovecraft stated that it was his friend William Paul Cook, a literary publisher and critic, who convinced him to start writing weird fiction again. Alright, and then the next one is in scene 9. And then we have... Does this count? Is this scene 8?
Despair in my solitude.
Because then we have 9 and 10.
The change... It's... for my...
Yeah, so right here should be something. But I guess it could be after we, like, get up and turn around. Yeah, I don't see anything here, so I think we have to stand up first.
The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other. There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach of...
Ah, right there. Oh, that's not even a hidden one. I just didn't look down there. Yeah, okay. That one's just, like, genuinely missed. The Origins of Dagon. Dagon seems to be inspired by Fishhead, a short novel by Irvin S. Cobb about unnatural affinities between a hybrid idiot and the strange fish of an isolated lake. What a title. Supernatural horror in literature, H.P. Lovecraft. And Lovecraft's dream about a strange island emerging from the ocean and him crawling in the ooze that covered its surface. I dream that whole hideous crawl, and can yet feel the ooze sucking me down. Lovecraft's interest in the topic stemmed from his aversion to fish and sea smells, in his own words. In his own words, I have hated fish and feared the sea and everything connected with it since I was 2 years old, but I cannot recall what earlier experience gave me such a profound and lasting aversion to the sea and seafood. Yeah? I mean, it is kind of, like, icky in my mind as well. Not really, like, fear, but it's kind of uncomfortable in a way. So then there's one in the next one as well, I believe.
As I crawled...
Or was that the one? Oh wow, all the way over there. The mystery of volcanic islands. Volcanic eruptions sometimes result in the creation of islands. Most of them are transient and erode after some time, but some prove permanent. The floating pumice, porous rock created when superheated, pressurized rock is ejected from a volcano, can move across long distances and transport barnacles and macroalgae that cling to it. In 2001, rafts of pumice created during the eruption of a volcano near Tonga, Polynesia, eventually reached Australia.
For several hours, I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which
Hold on, let me check. Next one is 15, so that was 10. So this is 11, I guess. Now it's 12. 13. So this is the worm one, I think. 14. So nothing here. I'm just gonna skip past it. Man, we're not gonna have much time for other stuff tonight after this. It was longer than I thought. So then there's another one as well in the next one. So there's oh yeah, one more. Wait, no. Here, there should be one. And then the next one is the worm. Right? Or did I miscount? I don't see anything. Maybe that, like, one tiny fade out didn't count as a new scene or something. Yeah, let's push on. I guess I should check the
that night,
the guide.
And on the following day, still traveled.
Yeah, okay. This one is the next one. We've checked this one already. And then in the next one, there's another one. Hello, Cass. So right here.
An interview. Too weird.
Oh,
I know not,
or not?
But I was without.
I guess these don't count as scenes until you can, like,
less energy.
Interact?
Indeed, picking.
I don't know, the counting is a bit weird, but there it is. The Loner. Contrary to popular opinion, Lovecraft was not an ever-frowning, eccentric, grumpy loner. He considered himself to be a person who appreciated humor. Moreover, he would often meet with friends in his apartment or at various cafes in Brooklyn and Manhattan. At times his social life was so intensive, his work would suffer for months. There was a point when he finally decided he needed to put an end to daily meetings and loitering in New York cafeterias, and resorted to hiding at home and reading with the main room light turned off, pretending he wasn't there whenever a friend knocked on his door. He also had another method of deterring his guests, which involved greeting them in a bathrobe, oh boy, with an unmade bed visible in the background, and piles of papers scattered across the floor. Great. Who needs friends anyway?
I have said that.
Alright, let me check again.
Of the rolling plane was
so now it's until 22. So that was 16. This one is 17, I guess?
Over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal ledges and outcroppings of rock.
I don't know if this counts as 18 or not.
Urged.
Maybe I should just look at the screenshots. It's not like finding them is very hard since they show up like on the entire screen. So I'm just gonna check that so we don't miss it. Yeah, so it's... Okay, this one we've already done. It's just on the monolith. It's like one of the obvious ones.
That it was merely a gigantic...
And the next one is also...
I soon assured myself.
Okay, there's one zoom in on the monolith that I think I missed.
For this... The right. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown.
So yeah, this one is obvious, and then in the next one...
Only visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size, though the creatures were shown disporting like... grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as...
Right there. The Piltdown Man. Lovecraft would often use the latest scientific discoveries as inspiration for his works. He would even update his stories at the last moment in order to make sure they reflected the latest breakthroughs. Unfortunately, this method was not without its flaws. After Lovecraft's death, the Piltdown Man discovery mentioned in Dagon turned out to be a paleoanthropological fraud. Paleoanthropological, there we go, fraud. In 1912, Charles Dawson, an amateur archaeologist, announced that he had discovered the missing link between ape and man, the fossilized remains of a previously unknown early human. Years later, they turned out to be a forgery, but by that point the fraud had already managed to negatively affect the early research on human evolution. In the year when the discovery took place, the majority of the scientific community believed Dawson indeed found the missing link. In 1953, Time magazine published evidence proving that Dawson was a conman. It turned out that the fossils of the previously unknown early human consisted of a human skull, the jaw of an orangutan, and chimpanzee teeth. Okay, I don't know, I mean, I guess that was relevant, kind of?
Awestruck at...
I mean, like, sure, he makes use of, like, untrue science, but if it's for the sake of fiction, it doesn't really, like, matter, I guess?
It darted like a stupendous...
Okay, there's another one in the hospital. One that I think... I thought there would be something there, but I didn't zoom in, so... We'll see.
When I came out, in my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given...
So right here. No? Oh, right there. Wow, that's so hard to see even when I know where to look. You have to really pay attention to, like, the shifting mark. The atheist. Lovecraft considered himself an atheist and absolute materialist, which he attributed partly to his early childhood interest in astronomy and science in general. In his own words, "I am indeed an absolute materialist so far as actual belief goes, with not a shred of credence in any form of supernaturalism, religion, spiritualism, transcendentalism, metempsychosis, or immortality. All I say is that I think it is damned unlikely that anything like a central cosmic will, a spirit world, or an eternal survival of personality exist. They are the most preposterous and unjustified of all the guesses which can be made about the universe, and I am not enough of a hair-splitter to pretend that I don't regard them as errant and negligible moonshine. In theory, I am an agnostic, but pending the appearance of radical evidence, I must be classed practically and provisionally as an atheist." Alright. Next one. Oh no, wait.
Once I saw...
Fuck, there was another one! No! God damn it! Ah, crap. There was another one in that scene. There were 2 hidden ones. And it's already too late, isn't it? Oh man, that's kind of annoying. Can you just, like, let us choose the scene we want to go to?
Of any land...
Oh, thank God. I was quick enough. Jesus Christ. So there's one here. There's this one, and then there's a third one somewhere. Ah, Jesus Christ, up there. Yeah, these are pretty mean. In defense of Dagon, in 1921, Lovecraft released a series of 3 essays, The Defense Reopens, The Defense Remains Open, and Final Words, later published as a collection titled In Defense of Dagon, in which he rebuked a series of criticisms directed at his works. Some notable quotes: "I paint what I dream and will let the public settle the rest amongst themselves. Mr. Monday asked the... oh god, I don't know how to pronounce that. Raison d'etre, I don't know, of Dagon. I will give it, purely and simply, to reproduce a mood. Its object is the simplest in all art, portrayal." Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what I was saying. Like, even if things are inaccurate and... oh, this is not actually Dagon, it's fiction, so it doesn't matter. It's like his own vision of it. "The physical horrors of war, no matter how extreme and unprecedented, hardly have a bearing on the entirely different realm of supernatural terror. Ghosts are still ghosts. The mind can get more thrills from unrealities than from realities." In the essay, Lovecraft touches upon the topics of atheism, materialism, the quest for truth, and the love of science. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Now we can leave. I should just read more of the walkthroughs I know. So there's one more in the next one.
Celebrated ethnologist.
But that one we did see. And then there's 2 more zoom-ins. Okay, yeah. Yeah, there was a book that was very suspicious, but it didn't have anything, so I didn't click it. So we have this one, and then in the next scene there's 2. Or was it 2? Yeah, 2 here. There's this book, and then this book, which is also suspicious. The Marketer. Lovecraft's attempts to find a job in 1925 were influenced by advice he received from friends. Among others, he started freelancing for a marketing magazine, where he would write announcements and commercials. Feel free to judge his copywriting skills for yourself. From an ad for Curtis Woodwork. Curtis Woodwork embraces both the usual structural units and the cleverest contrivances of built-in or permanent furniture, such as bookcases, dressers, buffets, and cupboards. Every model is conceived and created with the purest art, with ripest scholarship. Man, I'm reading too much. I'm like breaking down. And mellowest craftsmanship, which energetic enterprise can command, and made to conform rigidly to the architecture of each particular type of home. The cost, considering the quality, is amazingly low, and a trademark on the individual pieces prevents, good lord, any substitution by careless contractors. I mean, I don't know what to judge from that. It's an ad. It's the best thing ever. And then there was one here, which, yeah, I guess it's a zoom in one, but like, did I zoom in? I guess I did zoom in. I didn't even like realize I did that. I guess I was like looking at the clock and then just clicked here, even though it's like, oh man, that is hard to see when you're not like, it's easier to see when you're not looking at it. Even before zooming in, does your mouse change over a hidden one? No, it does not. Yeah, the mouse doesn't change at all. It only changes on the like actual things you can click on, I think. You can hear a little like pop though. And the scientist we read. Okay, and that was 29, and then there's 2 in the final scene. And 1 we've already seen.
It is.
Yeah, there's this one. Lovecraft on tobacco and alcohol. Oh! Wait. Where? I'm looking at the screenshot. It looks like it's right... Oh, Jesus, there. Yeah, I didn't even, like, notice that. Good God. And there we go. I got the achievements. Sweet. Thanks for that guide. That was helpful. The Eldritch Biographer. Find all trivia pieces hidden in the game. Elder Sign. At another house where people were stirring, he asked questions about the gods, and whether they danced often upon Larian, but the farmer and his wife would only make the Elder Sign and tell him the way to Nir and Ulthar, the dream quest of unknown Kadath. Elder Sign is a protective symbol that can be found in various works of pop culture, usually represented by a 5-pointed star with an eye flame symbol in its center. Huh, I don't think I know that, or like, maybe I've seen it, but didn't know that. For example, in games inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's writings, it is supposed to ward away all kinds of cosmic horrors. However, this is a later version of the sign, created by the author's friend, writer August Derleth. Seems like friend should be in quotation marks almost, with how much tampering Derleth did. In our game, we have used the original symbol, as designed by Lovecraft, in the form of a 6-pointed branch, which he sometimes included in letters to his friends. Interesting, so that's why they used the symbol. It's the save sign from Dark Corners of the Earth. Oh, nice. Hi, Tyr, by the way. I didn't know that. I mean, it's been so long since I played Dark Corners of the Earth. I don't remember much about it. Okay, I guess we're done. Don't really need to finish this, but might as well.
Shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean.
Yeah, honestly, that was more of just like an interesting look at some like Lovecraft lore than actually like a horror experience. But yeah, pretty good stuff overall. Just some pretty cruel hidden secrets, and the fact that you can't like change to different chapters, that would really help if you could just jump around a little bit more, so you didn't have to replay the entire game if you missed one thing. Like if you didn't use a walkthrough, it would take so many run-throughs to find everything, because there's no telling if you've missed something or not.
The wind.
And out we go. Alright. That's it. Yeah, that was cool. it took much longer than I thought, but I do have a couple other more proper or like real horror games, I think. I don't know much about them, but I do want to check them out, so I think I'll do some of that as well. So thanks for watching. See you in a second.